Hey, what is going on guys? Danny here, hope you're all doing well. In this video, I wanted to talk about why it's probably not a right time to build your own PC if you're in the market right now. I'm sure you're all informed on everything that's going on in the world. This human malware has drastically affected every single industry from retail, logistics, supply chains. Everything has been negatively impacted. The computer hardware industry is among those affected, and if you're looking at building your own PC, you're definitely better off waiting. This is due to the fact that in so many places where goods are manufactured, a lot of warehouses, factories, and manufacturing plants are running in decreased capacity or worse, have been temporarily shut down. What this ends up causing is introducing a limited supply for various parts while demand still remains at normal levels or rather increases due to how many people are transitioning to working from home, and this really does include everyone. While there will be some companies that will lend out equipment so that their employees can utilize at home, such as lender laptops, not everyone unfortunately gets that luxury and will have to fall back on their own systems. A lot of folks who are now transitioning to working from home are now realizing, hey, they're going to need some kind of x86 machine, whether it's a laptop or desktop, in order to get their job done, plus along with all the necessary and essential peripherals to be able to appropriately do their jobs, such as a mouse, keyboard, headset, a webcam, and more. I have a lot of my friends and family members who started working from home, and a fairly decent amount of them didn't even have an x86 machine, simply because they didn't need it due to owning a tablet or smartphone. I mean, for your average user who doesn't need a machine like that at home, their smartphone got them through their social media needs. Every basic Android device has apps like Netflix and YouTube. You can easily browse the web with a smartphone. You can email. It's essentially a mini computer in your pocket, hence the name. However, smartphones haven't really killed laptops or desktops, as most database programs, logistic tracking clients, graphic designing programs, and other sophisticated software or applications still need the horsepower that comes with a PC and cannot run to the full extent on a smartphone. Therefore, a lot of folks were left scrambling to get themselves a machine where they could get their jobs done from home, and that also caused an increased demand in addition to the usual enthusiast and gamer market. So manufacturers are running with limited capacity, supply is short, yet demand is high from consumers and system integrators. What does this cause? A shortage of parts and price hikes. What prompted me into making a video like this was when I was making my last video where I talked about how Intel's new 10th gen processors are probably not worth your money. I saw that while doing some research and looking at stock and parts from popular retailers or e-tailers, I noticed there were a lot of components sold out or being sold at completely astronomical prices that nobody should be paying for. Let's go over some popular e-tailers and take a look at some of the components, their stock situation, and prices. First up, we've got CPUs over at Newegg, and right now the situation isn't as bad as it is for some other components. Stock is definitely limited or scarce for entry-level, budget, or mid-range CPUs like the Ryzen 5 3600 or the Intel Core i5 9400F. On Amazon right now, the 3600 is listed. You can buy it too, but there's a message which states in stock on June 5th, 2020. Now this message I find is quite malleable, as I've often seen items come into stock the very next day, or this in-stock date gets pushed back a bit further. So it's one of those things I recommend you keep an eye on yourself. This is because these are the parts most gamers and consumers are going to be buying, as opposed to the enthusiast or workstation users who drop north of $300 or $400 on their CPUs, or even like $800. Despite that, though, the high-end parts are actually still selling for decent prices. I mean, currently you can get a Ryzen 7 3700X on sale for $294, which is a pretty sweet deal for an awesome 8-core part that's great for gaming and very capable for workstation tasks like video rendering. Moving on to motherboards, and here the situation is very dire. I actually noticed this when I was working on my video where I was giving my thoughts on the whole AMD B450 Zen 3 support fiasco. Take a Ryzen build for example, as B450 motherboards are a very popular choice amongst consumers due to their great value. I'm actually having trouble finding them in stock. On Amazon, it's pretty much the same thing. Either they're listed with in-stock dates, or they're not actually in stock, or it's listed, but you can't really buy it from Amazon. However, you do have third-party listings, and for these guys, right off the bat, I highly recommend avoiding them, because they're scalpers just overcharging for components. I mean, who in their right mind would be paying $400 for an ITX B450 board? It's absolutely ridiculous. Please don't pay these abysmal prices. Now, this could be due to a mixture of things, as I had mentioned, with stock shortages from the pandemic, but also because motherboard manufacturers are probably using all the resources they have for their upcoming B550 boards. It's only natural that you'll see some of the B450 boards go out of stock due to being end of life. But I actually still remember during the transition period from B350 to B450, you could still go out and find plenty of B350 boards on shelves still for quite some time. For high-end boards like the X570 or Z390 boards, the situation really isn't any better. Just go over to Micro Center and try to find a Z390 or X570 board for Intel or AMD respectively. They literally only have one board listed online for each category, a mini ITX Z390 board for the niche SFF builders or a super expensive X570 ATX board, which I don't really recommend. I mean, keep in mind though, with places like Micro Center, you're also better off going in store and actually checking out what kind of deals they have if you have one that's close to you, that is. Here in Canada, a well-known retailer such as Memory Express also has the same situation. There are some boards that are listed out of stock, and the ones that aren't, well, when you click on it, and most of the locations there are out of stock, there's a select few that maybe might have one or two in their inventory, but to be honest, it's not really looking that good for stock for us here as well, and our prices unfortunately are just absolutely crazy. Moving on to the graphics card market, and here you can pretty much forget about purchasing a GPU or buying one for an appropriate price, that is. It looks like a lot of high-end GPUs, especially like the 2080 Super or 2070 Supers, are running very limited in supply. Surprisingly though, you can go and find budget and mid-range cards in stock for fairly close to normal prices, I would say. Although I do have another video I'm working on, as it's a topic that needs its own, where I discuss the anticipation of the next generation graphics cards and why you might be benefiting from holding off on that GPU purchase. And if you really do need one, I recommend looking at the used market, pick up something that's entry level or budget and just making do with that for the time being. Memory and SSDs is an area that I was surprised to see doing okay for the most part. For memory, it's business as usual. Maybe prices have gone up just slightly. It's nothing drastic, and prices are still fair for the most part, I'd say. But if you need a good fast 16GB 3200MHz kit that has decent latency, you can find kits in stock for around 60 or 70 bucks, which isn't too bad. Now, when it comes to SSDs, their situation is similar to what we saw in the memory market, although I did notice prices go up considerably. For 2.5 drives, not so much. You can still find 500 gig SSDs like a Western Digital Blue and end up paying around 60 bucks, which is fine and fair. It's rarely in stock too, which is nice. Now, M.2 drives, especially NVMe drives, have gone up more, where once you could find a 1TB NVMe for around $90 or $100, now you're going to be looking at around $130 or so, and stock is a lot more limited here. I just very recently had my secondary rigs NVMe die on me, which was quite frustrating because the ADATA S11 Pro that I had in there was only about 5 months old, so I wasn't expecting it to die abruptly like that. Maybe I just got a lemon, who knows. So I was looking at some replacement drives only to find out how much prices had increased compared to what I had paid for. I bought that drive for around 140 Canadian dollars at the time, and now it's $180. That's a 29% increase. Definitely wasn't happy to see that. Power supplies, the situation is as bad, if not a lot worse than GPUs. Good luck trying to find a decent unit in stock or pay an appropriate amount for it. I also don't recommend you get desperate and end up putting a non-certified unit from a brand nobody has heard of and end up blowing up your PC. So about 5 months ago, I made a video where I outlined 4 awesome Ryzen-based builds that would be targeting different price points, market segments like high-end or budget, various scenarios like budget gaming or video editing. If we go back and take a look at a build from that list, and I used Amazon to pick out parts as it's mostly convenient for everyone and comparing prices. I mean, let's see what we had here. A Ryzen 7 3700X for $310, an X570 board from Asus for $165, not too bad. MSI RTX 2070 Super at the time for $510, and ADATA 1TB NVMe for $167, although right after we saw a pretty big decline with NVMe's in that market, so it probably went down, probably wasn't the best price at that time. But moving on, we had a Corsair RM 750X for $120, a great 80 plus gold certified unit, and it looked nice too with those white casing and the white cables. So overall, a pretty darn good build that would allow you to get high-end gaming done if you wanted to venture out into productivity or streaming, this build would be very capable in that regard. Now, if we try to construct that same build, you can't do it. Sure, our processor is cheaper, but a lot of other main components you can't even buy right now, or If you do find them in stock, they're being sold for astronomical prices. But let's not lose all hope just yet, because with custom build PCs, one of the advantages is that you can use whatever parts you need. So with that said, I tried to construct a similar build using Amazon, and here is what I came up with. For around the same price, you can actually build a PC that, for the most part, will deliver the same performance. So I was surprised to actually see that. It is even slightly cheaper. However, for some of the components like the motherboard, graphics card, NVMe SSD, you're not actually guaranteed to be in stock, and we had to sacrifice quite a bit for the power supply. I mean, it'll get the job done for this build, but I would say it's kind of the bare minimum. But I definitely would have wanted to go with a more higher quality unit, one with even more wattage, at least 600 watts, but I just couldn't, because for power supplies, absolutely nothing is in stock. From a reputable brand, that is. Also, I would not recommend paying $550 for a 2070 Super when both Nvidia and AMD are going to be making big announcements this upcoming Computex in September. All in all, I wouldn't recommend that you go ahead and build a system right now. It's simple, not worth it for the prices of some of these components, along with the compromises that you'll have to make. So that pretty much sums up mostly what I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope the situation improves, but who knows what else 2020 has in store for us. If you guys found this video to be informative and entertaining, then hit that like button. Let me know your thoughts down below, check out the video description for ways to support the channel, and if you're interested in more content like this, then make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.